Well, 2003, Mark Sweeney created the computer program which takes a 3D map of the green, and with a computer program of 100,000 lines of algorithms, he was able to calculate the break exactly in 2.5 seconds. So it was built for the Golf Channel, and it would take 2.5 seconds to calculate the exact journey a ball needs to take to get to the hole. Of looking at data, so with every 3D map for green we could actually create green shapes, and we could understand where the straight aims happen. So there'll be a line where all aim is straight, and as you move away from this line, break increases. And there were patterns, so incrementally break would increase, and we saw patterns through different green shapes, different size slopes, and before long we were able to actually create a chart, a booklet called the Aim Chart with 600 numbers, which was a green reading tool. So we'd teach people how to use the chart to calculate exactly where they should aim when they're putting. Yeah, well, we had to come up with a way of reading greens quicker and easier. So the express read was a series of trial and errors, and before long we had a way of standing in certain positions using our feet and fingers to read greens, and we created the green read, which could be anything from 20 seconds down to 5 seconds for any length putt. So with the express read, all we need to know is the slope value in the middle third of the putt, because that's where the break is affected the most. So depending on the length of the putt or the shapes involved, per se like a double breaker, we will measure in certain places, and once we have our slope number, so we would teach players where to stand, and then behind the ball what arm bend to use, and where on their fingers they would need to be to accurately choose a target. Well, that's part of the coaching. Is it's a side tilt factor, and we would measure the green and tell pupils what they. Well, we'd get them to experience the field by standing in certain positions, and they would identify an amount of side pressure with each of the numbers. So that's one of the first things we learn in the class is how to understand what it feels like to them and to differentiate between the different slopes. We can teach the express read in 15 minutes, and feeling the slope is a personal thing, but for example, if somebody is feeling slope and they're feeling too much, we just get them to reduce that number they're using. And they can also go by if they miss a putt high all the time, they're obviously over feeling slope, or if they're missing low a lot of the time, they're under estimating slope. So we can adjust accordingly and simply. Yeah, I mean, I've been very lucky to work with players like Adam Scott. I've spent time with Lydia Ko, JC Lewis, Michael Campbell, Paul Laurie. There's a huge list. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of very high-profile players using Aim Point Express and the chart read itself, and you know, countless regular tour players, challenge tour player, a mini tour, all the way down to 6-year-old kids. No one's ever got worse using Aim Point. It's a tough question because would they win without it? Who knows? But at one stage we had both the world's #1s using Aim Point Express from start to finish in every round. So as a good measure, we'd take that one. If you take a player and you have their putts gained before Aim Point and after, we're always seeing improvements for sure. Does the player feel more comfortable using Aim Point Express? That's a good question. And do they feel they're quicker and more tuned into their reads? Most commonly the answer is yes.